So I went to play Avowed and, play through it and make my usual videos that I do on games and stuff, but I just couldn't find myself playing this game any longer. I gotta be honest. I mean, I know already I'm about to probably get a lot of hate for this video because a lot of people, or at least according to the reviews on Steam, the game sits at very positive, so apparently most people are enjoying this game right now, but I just can't find myself to play it any longer. I mean, I was someone that didn't really pay much attention to this game. I mean, I watched like the announcement trailer. I don't know when that released. It was like a year or two ago. I watched that, and then I really didn't pay attention to it much after that, but I was, planning on playing it when it released because it was by Obsidian Entertainment. And the first issue that I found myself was before I even played the game. I was trying to make my character, and it took forever for me to make a character to look how I wanted my character to look and not look ridiculous. And I just don't like the look that they're going for here. Maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe that's just that is of course a preference thing, but the whole the godlike thing that they're going for, where you got this like coral reef looking stuff on your face and your head, I just don't like it. I had to turn that off just because I just don't like the look of that. So if my character had that on them, I'm not sure. I just couldn't look at my character. I mean, I know the game's mainly in first person unless you want to switch to third person mode, because you can actually switch to third person if you want to, which I like that. You can switch between first person and third person. You're not locked in first person or third person, and you can switch between it. I thought it was going to be a first person only game, which I was fine with, but it is cool. You have the option for playing the game in third person. But yeah, that was pretty much my first issue with the game, is I just didn't like the look that they were going for. I don't know, something about it, you just look like some overgrown coral reef or mold or something on your face. I don't know why they went with that, but I just didn't like it. So of course I turned that off, and eventually I made a character that it wasn't exactly how I wanted to make the character. They didn't have the right beard option that I wanted, or facial hair option that I wanted, that I was trying to go for a certain look, but that was fine. I eventually got a character that I was happy with, but there's actually quite a good decent amount of customization with your face and everything, but I feel like the game lacks some hair options. I feel like the hair options are very similar and they lack a lot of short hair options. But moving on past that, the second thing I noticed as I was playing is the environments. I mean, technically, graphically, the game looks decent, it looks good, but the environments, they just feel like they're just lifeless or sterile, static. I'm not sure which word to use that really completely describes what I'm trying to say, but the environment just doesn't feel alive. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't give off like that it was actually lived in. It just feels just bare bones, really. I don't know what else to say, but it's like the environments, graphically, they look all right, they look nice, but it just feels a bit bland, and you can't really interact with the environment at all. There's not much. Everything that's in the map is like static. Everything, all the bags, the boxes, the cups, whatever it may be, it's all static. It's like it's all decorations. You can't interact with it whatsoever. And this game was supposed to be compared to like the Elder Scrolls, but it just feels the environments are much more static. There's no interactability. You can't loot everything. If it doesn't glow, you can't loot it if it doesn't glow, basically. There's some breakable things, but they all just, you basically know. This game holds your hand with everything. That's another thing I'm trying to say here is everything that's breakable, you know that it's breakable because it just looks like you're supposed to break it. Anywhere that you're supposed to go, like if you have to climb something, there's some yellow rope that hangs off of it or something like that, similar, that tells you basically, hey, go this way. There's a bunch of yellow rope. You're supposed to climb this way. There's no thinking in this game is what I'm trying to say. It's just kind of a bit mindless because there's not much thinking. Everything you're supposed to do, the game either tells you in a visual way, like, hey, you can climb this, you can go this way, or your companion literally just walks up and tells you, hey, go outside. I'll just play the moment where there was a chest up on the second story of this building, but you kind of had to think about how to get up there, and then the companion just walked in and said, hey, if you go outside, you might be able to get up, and just ruin the moment.
I think there's something on the upper floor. We might be able to reach it from outside.
There's basically like no problem solving in this game. There's nothing to, if you have some sort of what's supposed to be like a puzzle, like figure out how to get here or what to do here, either your companion tells you or the game just blatantly puts some yellow rope. Sometimes the rope isn't yellow, or at least doesn't look yellow sometimes, but they still have rope just hanging from edges. I mean, it's like the game just holds your hand and leads you everywhere that you're supposed to go. It basically treats you like you're incompetent and stupid, or that you can't hold your attention for more than 5 seconds. So if it doesn't tell you, you're just going to stop playing or run away from that area because you won't stop for 10 seconds to figure out how to reach an area or think for yourself, is basically what the game's trying to say. On that note too, I found the characters just not very interesting and a bit bland, and I mean, I didn't even get that far, to be honest with you. I played for like maybe 4 hours, and that was already enough for me. I wasn't interested in the story. I mean, it just kind of bored me. I found the dialogue to be a bit bland, and when you're trying to convince someone, it just, like, there's some times where you have to you can try to convince someone instead of attacking them. You can try to convince them to either run away or let them give you that item and you don't have to destroy them and take it. But convincing someone is just really easy. I mean, I didn't even have to put any effort and think about my decisions. I just convinced people in this game to give up and give me the shipment that I was supposed to take without much effort or thinking about the decisions I was making. This game is pretty much more of a action adventure game than an RPG game. But to be fair to the game, I found the combat kind of fun. I mean, it's pretty simple and there's not much depth to it, but I found it actually pretty fun, and the game has really good sound effects. Every sound effect in this game is super satisfying. I don't know what it is, but every sound effect was just really satisfying. Shooting a gun was satisfying. Shooting whatever you call it, magic from your wands. I don't know what you would call it, magic missiles or something from your wand. It sounds satisfying. Slicing sounds satisfying. Everything sounds satisfying in this game. The sound effects just got some crunch and some meat to it, and it's just sad that meat isn't in any other part of the game.
This one's mine. On your right! Hey! Over here!
I mean, my goodness, the only reason I played the game as much as I did is because of those juicy sound effects and the game feel right there when you're fighting. I mean, it may be some simple combat, but it is slightly fun, and it's very casual in its combat too, but it sounds good, and it's a bit fun, the combat. I mean, just very satisfying sound effects. I'm not sure I've ever heard such juicy, crispy, nice sounding sound effects, and I probably should stop because this is just getting weird, me talking about sound effects like this. Let's go back to the not so good too. Some of those chests where you have to like, well, I would say you have to actually like find them and figure out how to get to them, but of course the game holds your hand the entire way to get to it, so it's not really hidden. It's not really hard to get any of the chests in the game. You just have to follow directions, I guess. But when you do actually loot the chest, there's really nothing great in the chest most of the time. I mean, most of the time it's like you get some fur and some like crafting materials, and it's like, okay, I mean, cool, that might be useful, but it's not really that exciting. I mean, sometimes you can get some pieces of gear, but there's really mostly junk in these chests. At least from the chests that I've looted, there's mostly junk in them. And by junk, I just mean stuff that's not really that exciting. I'm going all over the place, I know, but this game has some good looking underwater. I mean, it looks nice underwater, I guess I'll say that. And also it is cool that you can use a freeze spell, an ice spell on the water, and it'll create a thing of ice that you can walk on. I mean, that's pretty cool. There's also like no thieving mechanics in this game either, which is like another thing that's in a lot of RPG games, especially when they're trying to compare this game to the Elder Scrolls. But there's just no thieving mechanics. I mean, not only can you not pick up anything because the world is just kind of lifeless and static, but the few things that you can pick up, there's nothing to steal, so you can't steal it from anything. You can't pickpocket anyone to try to steal anything, so that's another missing point that just makes the game feel even more lifeless than it already does. The game just feels like it isn't finished, to be honest. It feels like they have a good base, and they made a good base, a good foundation, but then they just forgot all the details. The game's also $70 to start with, so the standard edition for the game is $70, and then the deluxe edition of the game is $90, which you don't really get much extras, but that's besides the point. But either way, $70 for the base edition of this game, and it lacks pretty much all the details that a $70 game should have. But that's pretty much everything that I got to say about this game. I mean, I didn't play through the entire game, so I can't comment about every single detail or lack of detail that this game has, but I played about 4 to 5 hours, somewhere in between there, and I probably won't go back. I probably won't play it anymore, so I'm just basing my opinion off the first 4 to 5 hours of this game. And really, that's all it really should take to get to know whether or not you're going to like a game. And I'm glad that I had Game Pass so I could play this game without actually buying the game itself, because I'd be very disappointed right now if I spent $70 and then I played 4 to 5 hours and I couldn't refund the game. I'd be quite disappointed. But it is on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, you can give it a try and see if you like it. You might like it, you know. Don't just take my word for it, you know. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that you won't like it, but you can use Game Pass to give it a try if you want. I would recommend doing that over spending $70 and actually just straight out buying the game. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment below, tell me what you think of this video and this game. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed. And I'll see you next time.